Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us here today. Today we're going to talk about the next generation BIM solution, HxGN SMART Build. So I'm going to get us started, and then I'll pass it over to my colleague here, Rodrigo, and he's going to give us an overview of the actual solution. As most of you know and have experienced in this room, we have a big problem in the construction industry today. Productivity gains are flat or even in slight decline. And this is not where we need to be to move the industry forward. Especially if we compare it to manufacturing, we can see that their productivity gains over the last 20 years have been significant. So we have a great opportunity in construction to turn this around. One of the issues that we face is everybody works in silos, and there's a lack of communication, a lack of true connectivity between all parties to share relevant information. And this is a huge problem all over the world. One of the biggest issues is the gap between the office and the field, and a true lack of visibility from the project manager into every trade and what's going on in the field with every project. And as we all know and have probably experienced, when you have that lack of visibility, you spend a lot of time collecting information from the field for those monthly status reports, and there's a delay between when things start to happen in the field, and we know that there's a chain effect. When one thing happens, it's a domino. That tilts another, and another. And we end up with what we've estimated, it's not really what's going on in the field. And there's the delay in that time as well, and that ends up in cost runs and schedule delays. And we have an important fact here on the screen that 41% of companies are not using earned value to manage their projects. And earned value is the one decided upon metric that combines together cost and schedule to evaluate projects. So we know we have an opportunity here to help more companies to use earned value on their projects to know exactly where they are and head off problems quickly. This problem is not unique to Canada or the US. It's a global problem. As we can see around the world, a few examples of projects that are way over budget. We have Brazil, we have China, and the list goes on and on. We'll just take a look now at a list across the world. Some really incredible budget bust numbers here, and this is just not acceptable. We know that owners expect better from the construction industry. Oops. But things are starting to change, and BIM is driving that change. New technologies available for construction are making new things possible that in the past have been impossible. And today we're here to introduce HxGN SMART Build, the newest BIM construction 5D, 4D, 5D solution that brings together models, schedule, and cost all in one pioneering platform that's brand new to the industry. We'll release the solution in about 3 weeks, so you guys are seeing a sneak peek here today. The solution has 3 pillars. The 3 pillars are: one is clarity. It's role-based so everybody can see exactly what they should see at any time. Connectivity. Connectivity connects together all parties so that we can see the information that we need to see, all in one single interface. Apologies, hit the go button too fast there. One more back, here we go. Simplicity. We're lowering the barrier of entry to BIM by creating a solution that's easy enough for everybody in the entire project team to use, whether it's the owner or the tradesman, but sophisticated enough for the most sophisticated scheduler or cost estimator and project manager to use. And our solution is built from the ground up, brand new technology we're bringing to the market. It's all about using the Internet of Things to connect together all parties so that all information is in one platform so everybody has the information at their fingers at any time. HxGN SMART Build is a solution for the entire construction process, from the early planning to execution, including digital construction layout that's fully integrated, all the way through the handover process. So let's take a quick run through a construction project. Phase 1 being pre-construction planning. In pre-construction planning, we consume or import in multiple different models into a single environment. Once we have all the information in the same place, that information is combined together, and all the other project information can be brought in as well. whether it's 2D information, Word documents, everything is pulled into the one single same environment. And the ability to bring everything together in a web-based environment means that everybody has all the information at their fingertips. But because it's role-based, you only have the information that you need. You're not overwhelmed by information that's irrelevant to your role. And now if we move to the takeoff process during construction, in pre-planning. In pre-planning, we have the ability to pull model quantities directly from the model within our solution. Once you have the model quantities, then you can apply formulas. You can use your very own formulas, and we have a database that will manage that process. And those quantities can then have cost applied as well, and we can manage that whole process. And now we can bring in our schedule. You can bring in a schedule from P6, Primavera, or a Microsoft project, or virtually anywhere, even in an Excel file. Now that you have all your information in one place, you can pull together your model elements and schedule elements into what we call a work package. The work package is the vehicle that ties together your model elements, your schedule, and your cost in one vehicle that allows you to assign out these work packages. And the work packages are breakdowns of your building, so you can divide it up by, let's say, floor, area, trade, and then those work packages can be assigned out to the trades, and then once we get to the field, they can be statused. So I don't want to jump ahead too much. So let's move on to construction execution. Now we're in the construction execution phase, and we have real-time dashboards. So as construction is progressing, we can see in our same model environment, we can see our earned cost or our earned value. Because we've pulled together in the very same environment, your model, your cost, your schedule, we can see earned value on our dashboard in our model view environment. It's not just a pretty picture, guys. You can click on any of those metrics, those KPIs at the top of the screen, and drill in and get all the information about your project. RFIs, COs, where are we, who's behind, why are they behind? So very rich data. We also integrate with digital construction layout. Within our model viewing environment, you can add construction layout points to your models, sync those with your robotic total station software, and layout in the field. And you can also as built in the field and round trip those points right back into the Smart Build environment with deviation detection. And once you're back in the Smart Build environment, all that information can be shared out with the team with integrated issue management. As part of our ongoing development, we're also integrating in scan data or reality capture data, where this information in the field can be captured and your model information at the same date and time can be exported out and merged together with your model, with your scan data, and then that can be viewed within this model-based viewing platform, cloud-based, for visual deviation detection, remote safety inspections, or for just proof of work put in place. Now, once we're in the field, we have our work packages generated, they've been assigned out to our trades, and now in the field with practically any mobile device, these work packages can be updated or progressed on a daily or weekly basis. And as soon as they're updated in the field, the progress is reported, and that information goes right back to our dashboards, providing project managers and owners with instant information about the status of the project. And our vision is that moving forward, the reality capture will be integrated into this process so that trades will have to provide evidence of work put in place and also the quality of the work put in place with reality capture data such as scan data. And finally, the third phase is final asset delivery, because the entire project is in one place. At the end of the project, you have accurate as-built information that can be moved into the O&M system or used on our platform for the use for operations and maintenance. And now I'll turn it over to Rodrigo to give us a preview of the solution. Rodrigo?
So I'll try to do a quick demo of the actual software here, right? So going through the points that Cathi mentioned. So basically that's the diagram of the process that she described, right? So basically you have the design, then you plan, then you create the packages, and you leverage these packages to actually do the construction and track all the progress, right? So, and once the work is done, you can use that to operate the facility as well. So do all the asset management required. And all that, through all the phases, you see that you have project control and management as well. So you can leverage via the dashboard that she mentioned all the costs and all the tasks or activities that are related to that. Okay, so this is a quick overview of the solution. So you see on the top here the dashboard, right? So you basically define your KPIs, so you can define your own, right? So we're just giving some examples here. And then you have on the left side, basically really simple icons of the things that you want to do, right? So work packaging, recipes is the idea that you have a library of things that you execute in different projects to reuse, right? So digital layout, documents, test and export the quantities, right? On the other bar, you have basically different ways of filter information, right? So we are leveraging IFC files coming in from the design tools, right? And then we can filter that based on several different different things, even custom filters that you can create on your own, right? So some examples here, defining the levels, defining based on the classification of the items, WBS, WBF, so on and so forth, right? So once you have this idea of filtering your model based on specific information, you can now leverage this classification to define your packages, right? So I'm going to the interface that defines that. So basically just setting the environment here. So you see that I have a list of packages based on some classification here, and each of them is associated to a WBS and some items in the schedule. So you can see the planned dates and the actual dates as well. So you can basically track if you are behind or not in some specific activity, right? So we can also track not only the activity itself, but all the material related to that and labor as well, right? So items that are not in the model, right? So labor required to execute that and material that is not in the model. So I can drill down to specific areas and go to packages on that, right? So I'm going to the walls here, getting some dates, and then you can see that I have the progress of the specific specific package, or I can roll up to higher levels to have a more generic, let's say, progress, right? So you see that you have dynamic bars here that we can move according to what's actually happening in the field, right? And as soon as I change something, you see that it automatically calculates the overall progress for that activity, okay? So I can also define, just give some examples of the properties that I can define here. So for each one of the packages, I can readjust the schedule, right? Based on Primavera or Microsoft project or even Excel, right? For each one of the packages, I have all the components, so I can basically graphically select the components or use graphical filters to speed up this process, okay? Each one of the packages will have a set of steps, so predefined tasks that you have to perform. And one of the things that you can leverage is this concept that we have of recipes, right? So the idea that I've executed that before, so I have an idea what's the labor involved, all the material involved, and I can basically tweak that to improve my process on the later projects, right? So to use that as, again, as a library or a source of knowledge for that, to optimize the whole process. We can associate documents into that as well. And we can also say it's a concept of a workflow, right? So basically, a certain user is covering that task. After it's done, somebody else will revise that. So have an internal workflow on how the things will be managed on that process. Okay, so just showing that again, that I can update my progress and see the values updating on the screen here. Okay, so as soon as I update that, it'll basically update and recalculate the overall progress for that activity. Okay. Implementation-wise, you see that the solution is running on a browser here, right? So it's what we call a zero-footprint solution. So you don't have to install any plugins or any applications in that, right? So it's just the browser here. So going to a cloud solution database that it's putting all this information together, right? Other quick aspect that we can handle as well is actually we have a universal viewer for documents, right? So it doesn't matter which format you're using, we can bring that in a viewer, and then you can do headlines on these files, right? So an easy way to collaborate with multiple users, and all these red lines will be, again, available to everybody that has permissions to that. So they are what we call a non-destructive comment. So it's a layer on top of the file. So you can basically turn on and off to see the original file if you need to get away, move away the comments to see what the original file really is. This solution is also available on a mobile device, right? So I'm just putting that side by side so you can see that exactly the same information that is available in the full solution is available on the mobile device as well. So you have visualization of the model, the work packaging solution, the idea of filtering the model, turning on and off based on some filters, viewing the documents, and do some special settings if you need to. The key point of this solution is actually give the field the chance to actually dynamically update the progress. So instantaneously you see that in the office how the project is going, right? So just by updating a specific package here, it will again roll up and recalculate the progress for the whole project, and you have it available everywhere that you have access to the solution. So again, you can manage the labor, materials, and the activity itself, and even have a version of the document viewer available for you in the mobile device. The other key point of the solution is the integration with the physical environment, right? So we have integration of total stations, so you can basically create points in the model and then export these points so the total station can use that with smarts on it, right? So not only the graphical information, but also some data information that you can leverage during the total station usage, right? And then bring these points back. So what I'm doing now is actually creating new points on the solution, right? So dynamically placing them and choosing the attributes that I want to bring together with these points. These points are color-coded. You see later that there's colors to represent how the points were created and how the points were actually captured in the field. So once I create the points, I can move to the total station and then import these points, right? So in several different formats, XML, text files, so bring that in. Again, one important aspect is actually not only the XYZ coordinates, but also attributes that you can define to help on your validation process, right? So I'm importing points here, and then it will go through the whole process of identification of the points on the total station, right? So classifying the points in different ways and how we're going to import the file. So you see that the model that we are seeing here is exactly the same model that I had in the Smart Build solution before, right? So you can use that to, so it has its own software to calibrate that, these points and start the process, right? So it will guide the robotic total station to basically do all the work, right? So selecting points, allocating them, and giving the precise information about each one of the points that were imported. And the software will guide you through the process, right? So where you have to move, how you need to position things to make it easier, right? So you see that it's basically helping you adjust the physical location with where it needs to be. Once it's done, it starts storing the points Basically going point by point and repeating the same process. I can have a split screen, right, so that I'm doing the positioning of the total station against the activity that is actually being done. And then I can use the visualization tool to actually see the points, right? So now is the phase that I'm bringing it back to the smart build solution, right? So basically importing these points from the robotic total station back to the HxGN Smart Build, right? So I just turn on the visualization aspect of the points, and you see two different colors, right? So the blue one is the original one that I place, and the orange one is the deviation, okay? So that's basically the way that we integrate the model with the physical aspects of it, okay? That's all I have to show you. We have a booth here, so if you have more specific questions on the solution, I can go through the solution itself. Thank you very much.